we catch up with our resident quarterback, Sean Salisbury. I always love catching up with Sean as all guests coming to you from the Folsom Lake Honda Hotline. Folsom Lake Honda, your one-stop Honda shop. Sean joining us now. Sean, last night, we all out here watched a dominant performance by the San Francisco 49ers in Mexico City. I know they've caught your eye, but do they now have that look of a serious contender to you?
Oh, I think that I can make the argument easily, regardless of records, that they're the team to beat in the NFC. And I don't have any argument. I actually think we could see them in Tampa Bay late in January and battling to get in there. I think Tampa Bay's got a chance to go on a run. I know they got Cleveland this week, and I've seen things in them that tell me that they're about to get – they're pretty close to being healthy and get on it. We've seen the 49ers now as they're about as healthy as they've been, and you see how Kyle's implementing and an offense that really is not wearing people out. It's not like it's efficient. You're not giving anybody 30, 35 touches. You're spreading it around, and Jimmy's playing he's playing high caliber football, protecting it, and big game last night. I love what they're doing. You can tell there's swagger there, and we know what the defense brings. So to me, I think we've seen a little bit of, and I don't want to say cracks, because I still think Philadelphia is good. I do, and they showed something. They showed guts coming from behind and winning that game. And the Vikings got a little bit of humble pie, but they'll still be around. And the Cowboys, if the Cowboys do what they did last week, meaning if Kellen Moore doesn't coach to be a head coach, he coaches to make sure the identity matches. And that was my whole thing going into last week. I said it on a couple shows and on mine, that if he'll run it first, that's their identity, and throw between 25 and 30 times, they're going to win a lot of games. Dak was 22 of 25. That's who they are. Can wreck an offense, obviously, on defense. That Cowboys team's going to be hanging around too, but I could make the argument on a futures bet that I'd have a hard time betting against the 49ers right now.
That's interesting, that last comment. What's the difference there, Sean, and Kellen Moore? So what does it look like when he's trying to be a head coach as opposed to a coordinator?
And I'm not saying he thinks this consciously, but they go, listen, he's in a position, and there's been talk, and Romo even mentioned it over the weekend, about he thinks Kellen Moore is going to be head coach next year, and Dan Quinn. He thinks they're going to lose both coordinators, he said on the broadcast. I get it when they're going, but think about with Cooper Rush. He protected that offense, didn't put him in a bind, and threw it in the teens for the most part. A couple times, they had to creep a little higher. But that is not what he wanted to do. And then you saw last week, 28-14, lead in the fourth quarter. On the road, threw it almost 50 times. He didn't need to. So and I get this because coordinators do it. You want to prove on defense, you'll take a few more chances as your defense coordinator. On offense, you want to show the world we are high-powered, and this is what we do. And his MO has been he likes to throw it. But coordinators know that in order to win, you got to do it. Not that he was trying to do it selfishly, but there's that, this is who I am. And we know coordinators, it's like as a quarterback, we like to throw it, but we want to win first. So he called a game knowing what his identity is in the
I think we did lose Sean for a moment there. We'll see if we sometimes we lose that connection briefly. Nate, I'm going to put him on hold for a minute and see if we get him back, because sometimes that kind of goes for a brief second. So if you can check in with Sean, see if we've got him there, because he was on a roll there. I really like that, what he was bringing up about the Cowboys and the Vikings, and just the way that game went. So I think, did we lose him? Yeah, okay. So we'll try him back here if we can in just a second to get reconnected with Sean Salisbury. And I think that was really interesting. I want to get back with Sean, too, on that when we get him. He also mentioned Tampa Bay as a team that he could see making a run here. Now, they're only 5-5. Doesn't mean they're, the Niners are 6-4, but we all see what we're watching on a weekly basis of what they could become. I want to ask him what he's seeing right now in Tampa that could get them at 5-5 to maybe a team that can come out of the NFC. So once we get back connected with him, we'll do that. So let's rejoin with Sean. Sean, we lost you there for a second, but I wanted to...
I don't. We've been going through some storms here, but it's not raining now. I was just going to finish with that if that's the approach the Cowboys will go like that, they'll be difficult to deal with as well.
So let me ask you, too, about that game specifically, Cowboys-Vikings. I don't know if it's just another game in Week 11, but when it's 40-3, kind of both sides of the equation here, Sean, from Dallas's side of things to just get a convincing thrashing of a good team, what does that do for the Cowboys? And conversely, what did that do for the Vikings? Can they just do a quick redirect and use that as a one-game outlier?
I would like to think. I think the Vikings have the Patriots coming to town this week, I believe. I think they play in New England on Thanksgiving Day, or not Thanksgiving, on the Sunday. Am I right? Or is it on Thanksgiving Day? I can't even remember. Yeah, it's Sunday night. There you go. So I think that
excuse me. Sorry, Sean. It is Thanksgiving. Yes.
Thanksgiving.
But,
okay. To me, for the Vikings, it was a little humble pie. I think that, people still question them nationally. They wanted to see how they do. They beat Buffalo's signature win. Can they do it again? And they were at home. I think they expected a better showing. So what it says is we got work to do, a team that had a better game plan. We were outcoached, outplayed. That you come back down to earth a little bit, it can reset your focus. I don't think it's such a bad thing, although you're trying to win home field advantage. So we're going to find out the character and really the intestinal fortitude of them. It sounds cheesy, but we're going to find out if one loss affects them that bad. It wouldn't matter. It's 17-14 because they've been winning games in odd fashion, as we saw against Buffalo, but they've been winning games and they've been playing really good football. So we're going to see if they can overcome it and handle the failure like they've handled success this year. For Dallas, what it says is I think this is who the Cowboys think they are. I don't think they think they're 40-3 better than the Vikings, but I think they know that when they are doing what they did and they're healthy, that this is the type of team they can be. Jerry Jones believes they're a Super Bowl team. I think a lot of us do. They're coordinated well. They're coached well. And quite frankly, when Dak's doing that and not having to rely on him just throw, this identity is the two backs. Push the line of scrimmage, let Micah Parsons do his thing defensively, force some turnovers, and get 7 sacks like they did. I think it can work both for both. The Cowboys needed this boost after Green Bay, and the Minnesota Vikings, quite frankly, needed a cleat in their rear end to get them refocused.
Sean, you brought up earlier, too, about Tampa Bay. You mentioned that you could see the Niners making a long run here. Tampa Bay, what do you see in them that you see that could be a turnaround here?
Well, that dude who plays quarterback, he's really good when he gets to January. So that's where you got to. He doesn't just rent January; he owns January and February. So we got to be alert for that. The key is trying to disrupt them on the way, but there's always something that kicks them off. I'm here.
Yeah, we got you.
Yeah, okay. 2 weeks ago, I just heard somebody say hello, so I was making sure you got me. 2 weeks ago, when they came from behind and the door was opened up in that game against the Rams. And Brady threw that touchdown pass at the end. I watched him and Leftwich hug, and it was a different kind of hug. It was like, okay, we're finally healthy. We're going to run the ball. Then last week they ran it. They played great football. Everybody got involved, and Brady looked like Brady, the whole team energy-wise. And Leftwich called a great game. If this team gets on that run where they go into late December and they've won 4, 5, 6 in a row, I'm just telling you, they're getting healthy. Going into the season, their roster, aside from the offensive line, was as good as they've had. Now they've refocused. I don't, and they're going to win the division because of the division.
Yeah.
But be careful that this team gets confidence and gets full, because if they're like 7-2 the last 9 games going into January, they are going to be hell. As a matter of fact, I would not pick against them going into the playoffs if they're on a roll like that.
It's going to be fun to see how these two conferences shape out. Sean, we always appreciate your time. We look forward to talking to you next week. Have a great Thanksgiving, and we'll talk to you next week.
Happy Thanksgiving to you and all your listeners. I appreciate you guys. Thank you.
All right, thank you. That's the great Sean.